On July 5, 2026, at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, in front of 80,663 people that included Jay-Z, Chris Rock, and Woody Harrelson, a 25-year-old from a Norwegian town of 13,000 people scored twice in the final 11 minutes to eliminate Brazil from the World Cup. The five-time world champions, gone. Sent home by a striker from a flat agricultural plain on the southwestern edge of Scandinavia, a man who was born in Leeds, grew up in a town most people outside Norway have never heard of, and who has been producing numbers since the age of 5 that no reasonable framework for human athletic performance was designed to accommodate. Brine is a town in the Jæren region of Rogaland County, southwestern Norway. Population approximately 13,000 people. It sits on a flat coastal plain, the largest flat lowland in Norway, where the land runs uninterrupted between the North Sea beaches and the agricultural fields that have defined the region's economy for centuries. The landscape is unlike most of Norway. No dramatic fjords here. No steep mountain walls dropping into the sea. Just wide open sky, long sandy beaches that produce some of the best surfing conditions in northern Europe, stone walls dividing fertile fields, and wind. Constant, reliable North Sea wind. The town itself is modest. A church, a sculpture park, a local football club, Brine FK, founded in 1925, that has competed in Norway's lower professional divisions. A skyscraper, Forum Jæren, 65 meters tall, 20 floors, that is one of the tallest buildings in the region. The Jæren Railway connects Brine to Stavanger in about 30 minutes, making it a commuter town for the oil city that sits to the north. Every April there is a potato festival. The World Championships in potato fork throwing are held there. This is where Erling Braut Haaland grew up, in a flat farming town 30 minutes from Stavanger, where the wind comes off the North Sea and the biggest local landmark is a concrete skyscraper. Before Erling, there was Alfie. Inge Haaland was born in 1972 in Stavanger and grew up in Brine. He became a professional footballer, a defensive midfielder, who played in the English Premier League for Nottingham Forest, Leeds United, and Manchester City. He earned 34 caps for the Norwegian national team and played at the 1994 World Cup, the same tournament where Norway's squad included a young coach named Ståle Solbakken, now the manager of the 2026 Norway squad. Alfie's career ended in one of the most infamous moments in Premier League history. In April 2001, during a Manchester derby, Roy Keane made a deliberate high challenge on Alfie Haaland that ended his career. Keane later admitted the tackle was intentional, written in his own autobiography. Alfie managed 4 more substitute appearances before retiring in 2003 on medical advice, unable to recover full fitness. He was 30 years old. Erling Haaland was 9 months old when the tackle happened. When Erling eventually signed for Manchester City in 2022, he joined the same club his father had played for. He now plays his home matches at a stadium that Alfie also played at. The continuity runs deeper than that. Erling wore Braut Haaland on the back of his shirt at the 2026 World Cup, combining both his mother's and father's surnames, honoring a complete family on the biggest stage the sport offers. His mother, Gry Marita Braut, was Norway's national heptathlon champion, an elite multi-event track and field athlete. The intersection of a Premier League footballer and an elite heptathlete from the same small Norwegian town produced a child whose physical attributes are measurably abnormal. Erling was born in Leeds on July 21, 2000, while his father was playing for Leeds United. The family moved back to Brine when Erling was 3. He grew up on the same flat Jæren plain his father had grown up on. He joined the youth academy of Brine FK at age 5, the same club his father had begun his career at. At age 5, Erling Haaland reportedly set a world record for his age category in the standing long jump, 1.63 meters, at 5 years old. At 15, he was playing for Brine's reserve team and scored 18 goals in 14 matches. At 16, Brine gave him his senior team debut 3 months before his birthday. He started 4 games. At 16, he joined Molde. His manager was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who compared him to Romelu Lukaku after watching him score 4 goals in 21 minutes in a single league match. At 18, he moved to Red Bull Salzburg. At 19, at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Poland, he scored 9 goals in a single match. Norway beat Honduras 12-0. He scored 9 of those 12. He won the tournament Golden Boot despite Norway being eliminated in the group stage, which requires an almost impossible combination of individual output and team failure to achieve simultaneously. At 19, he moved to Borussia Dortmund. At 20, he became the first teenager in history to score in 5 consecutive UEFA Champions League matches. At 21, he was the most wanted striker in world football. At 22, he joined Manchester City for €60 million. In his first Premier League season, he scored 36 goals in 35 matches, the most by any player in a single 38-game Premier League season in history. He scored 52 goals across all competitions that year. He won the Premier League, the FA Cup, and the Champions League, the treble, in his debut season at the club. At 23, he scored 60 goals in all competitions. At 25, at his first ever World Cup, he has scored 7 goals in 5 matches. He leads the Golden Boot race alongside Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappé, the two greatest players of the previous generation, playing in his debut tournament. The 6th player in history to reach 50 international goals in under 50 appearances. He did it in 46 games. Faster than Pelé, faster than Ronaldo, faster than Messi. Norway last qualified for the World Cup in 1998. In that tournament, a squad that included Erling Haaland beat Brazil 2-1 in the group stage. Then they lost to Italy in the round of 16 and went home. They failed to qualify for 2002, 2006, 2010, 2014, 2018, and 2022. 6 consecutive absences. For 28 years, Norway watched from outside. The qualifying campaign for 2026 was defined by one player scoring at a rate that qualification campaigns are not designed to contain. Erling Haaland scored 16 goals in qualifying. Norway won their group and arrived at their first World Cup in 28 years as a squad built around a player who had never played at a major international tournament in his life. In the group stage, Norway beat Iraq 4-1, beat Senegal 3-2, and lost to France 4-1. Then they beat Ivory Coast 2-1 in the round of 32, Haaland scoring in the 86th minute for his 5th goal of the tournament, Norway's first ever World Cup knockout victory after previous exits in 1938 and 1998. 5 goals. 5 matches. MetLife Stadium, July 5, 2026. Brazil vs. Norway. Brazil entered the match as moderate favorites. Carlo Ancelotti had been hired to end a 24-year World Cup drought for the 5-time champions. Vinicius Jr. had scored 4 goals in the tournament. The global expectation was that Brazil would advance, and Norway would go home with a respectable result and a story about what might have been. Norway conceded a penalty early. Their goalkeeper, Erling Haaland, 35 years old, the squad's oldest player, saved Bruno Guimaraães' attempt, guessing correctly and diving to his left. The match was goalless at half-time. Haaland had not scored. He had struggled to make a significant impact in open play, as he often does in matches where the ball does not reach him in dangerous positions. But his presence alone caused problems, drawing attention, occupying defenders, creating space. In the 79th minute, Andreas Schjelderup, who had come on at half-time, whipped a cross in from the left. Haaland rose above Gabriel, 6'5" of Norwegian striker, getting above one of the best center-backs in world football, and powered a header into the corner. Brazil were stunned. In the 90th minute, Schjelderup found Haaland again on the edge of the box. Low drive into the bottom corner. 2-0. It was over. Neymar converted a late penalty in stoppage time, probably his last touch in his final World Cup appearance, after which he announced his international retirement. The consolation made no difference. Norway 2-1 Brazil. Norway have now faced Brazil 5 times in their football history. They have never lost. 2 wins and 2 draws before this match, including Erling Haaland's generation beating them in 1998. Now Erling Haaland's generation beating them in 2026, in the round of 16, at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Haaland led the Viking row in the stands after the match, banging the drum, leading the celebration while the yellow-clad Brazilian supporters watched in silence. He said afterward, "To score 7 goals for Norway in the World Cup is quite special. It's unreal. I dreamed of playing in the World Cup with Norway. I never expected to win against Brazil." The coach Ståle Solbakken, who played for Norway at the 1994 World Cup alongside Erling Haaland, and who now coaches Erling's son, said, "I think that all Norwegian citizens are experiencing the night of a lifetime. Some people say that we have changed Norway forever." Norway's next match is in the quarterfinal against England in Miami on July 11th. 7 goals at his first World Cup, tied for the Golden Boot with Messi and Mbappé. Norway in the World Cup quarterfinals for the first time in their history. Brazil eliminated. A country of 5.4 million people, smaller than many cities, reaching the final 8 of the most watched sporting event in history. The numbers Erling Haaland produces have always looked like errors. 9 goals in 1 match at 19. 36 Premier League goals in a debut season, 60 international goals in 53 appearances. Each time the number appears, it looks wrong until you verify it.